Beloved soul, pause for a breath. Before your mind races forward, before doubt tries to interrupt, stay right here, because this message did not arrive randomly. It arrived because a truth has already been spoken about you. And once truth leaves the lips, destiny begins to rearrange itself. Archangel Michael steps forward now, not with noise, not with force, but with precision. Listen. There are moments when the universe leans in, moments when words said in passing echo louder than intentions, moments when a soul reveals itself without meaning to. This is one of those moments. Someone deeply connected to you, your soulmate, recently spoke about you to others, and what they said startled even them, not because it was false, but because it was too real. They tried to sound casual. They tried to minimize. They tried to soften the truth. But the truth does not shrink when spoken. It expands. They said you are different. Not different in the way fear paints it. Different in the way gravity works. Different in the way some souls are felt before they are understood. And as those words left their mouth, something inside them shifted. Beloved soul, understand this clearly. People do not speak with emotion about someone who means nothing. They do not lose control of tone, body language, or energy over someone insignificant. What escaped your soulmate was not gossip. It was confession. They told others that you are the one person they cannot escape mentally. The one presence that returns when the room goes quiet. The one soul who sees behind their mask without asking permission. And that terrifies them, because you do not just see who they pretend to be. You see who they are when no one is watching. Archangel Michael says, this is where power reveals itself. They admitted, without fully realizing it, that you awaken emotions they worked hard to bury, feelings they convinced themselves were dangerous, vulnerability they promised they would never allow again. You didn't force this. You didn't manipulate it. Your energy simply touched what was already alive inside them. They told people you are unforgettable, not dramatic, not obsessive, unavoidable. They described you as someone too close to their heart to categorize safely, too impactful to label lightly, too real to dismiss. And while their words tried to protect them, their energy betrayed them. Because when they spoke your name, their voice changed. When they explained you, their eyes softened. When they tried to downplay you, their body leaned forward. Everyone noticed. Some teased them. Some smiled knowingly. Some told them to stop running. But no one questioned the truth behind their emotion. Beloved soul, hear this without flinching. Your soulmate is not afraid of love. They are afraid of exposure. With others, they can perform. With you, they are transparent. And transparency feels like standing unarmored in a world that taught them to survive behind walls. They admitted, without saying it directly, that you feel like home and danger at the same time. Home because your presence calms their nervous system. Danger because losing you would crack something inside them they are not ready to face. This was not spoken in anger. This was not spoken in bitterness. This was spoken in confusion, vulnerability, and emotional overload. And here is the turning point few understand. Once truth is spoken aloud, it cannot be taken back energetically. Archangel Michael says, the moment they said your name with feeling, fate took notice. They did not know the universe was listening. They did not know their words would begin aligning timelines. They did not know that what slipped out would return to them multiplied. But now it has. Since that conversation, they have replayed it in their mind, wondering if they revealed too much, wondering who noticed, wondering how clearly their heart exposed itself. And the answer is, very clearly. They told people, without fully admitting it, that you are the only soul who makes them believe in something real again, that your absence feels like a missing piece, that the way you look at them dismantles every wall they built brick by brick. Beloved soul, this is not coincidence. This is consequence. Truth spoken creates momentum, and momentum cannot be stopped, only directed. If this message resonates, don't rush past it. Let it settle. Let it speak back to you. Stay present with this transmission, because clarity arrives when attention stays open. Archangel Michael remains with you, and something has already begun. Beloved soul, remain here. Do not let your attention drift, because what unfolds now explains why everything inside them has intensified. After those words were spoken, after your name carried weight into the room, your soulmate did not return to normal. They couldn't. Something irreversible happened. The mask they relied on cracked, and once a crack forms, light enters whether one wants it or not. They tried to distract themselves. They tried sleep. They tried noise. They tried routine. None of it worked. Your name echoed in their mind with a persistence that felt almost intrusive. Not loud, not chaotic, steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat they could not silence. And that is when they realized something that shook them deeply. This connection is not temporary. It is not situational. It is not something time or distance can erase. Archangel Michael says, when the soul recognizes truth, the mind loses authority. People around them noticed the shift immediately. They noticed how your soulmate went quiet when your name surfaced, how their breathing changed, how their energy softened, then tensed, as if something inside them was pulling in opposite directions. They noticed the contradiction, because your soulmate said you were just someone, but their nervous system reacted as if you were everything. Beloved soul, this is how truth exposes itself. Your soulmate began asking themselves questions they had avoided for a long time, questions that strip illusion down to bone. Why do I feel this connected? Why can't I let them go? Why does their absence feel heavier than their presence? Why does my heart respond before my logic? Every answer led back to you. They tried to convince themselves that letting you go was the mature choice, that focusing on themselves was necessary, that the timing was wrong, that you deserved better, that the connection was overwhelming. But the universe refused to cooperate with their denial. Every attempt to push you away resulted in your energy returning stronger. Songs appeared at the wrong moments. Memories surfaced without permission. Numbers repeated. Dreams intensified. Emotional waves hit out of nowhere. Archangel Michael says, this is not obsession. This is recognition. And recognition does not fade. It deepens. Slowly, something beautiful and terrifying began to happen inside them. Instead of fighting the feelings, they started observing them. Instead of suppressing the pull, they started acknowledging it. Instead of running, they paused. That pause changed everything. They realized that speaking about you wasn't a mistake. It was relief. Carrying everything alone had become too heavy, and the moment they allowed even a fraction of truth to escape, their soul exhaled. Beloved soul, understand this. They are not confused anymore. They are afraid. Afraid because you matter more than they planned. Afraid because this connection feels real. Afraid because you can see them without effort. They feel when you think about them. They feel when you pull away. They feel when you miss them but stay silent. This is not imagination. This is energetic attunement. Their intuition is waking up, and with it comes a deep inner knowing. You are not replaceable. They compare others to you without meaning to. They search for your energy in rooms you are not in. They replay conversations, small details, moments they once overlooked. Beloved soul, their heart keeps choosing you even when their mind resists. At night, they imagine conversations with you, not dramatic ones, honest ones, simple ones, ones where they finally stop hiding. They imagine telling you that they tried to move on and failed, that their soul refused, that something about you feels written, and the thought that haunts them most is not rejection. It is regret. Regret for not speaking sooner. Regret for letting silence stretch too long. Regret for pretending you didn't matter. Archangel Michael says, silence becomes unbearable when truth matures. They are standing at the edge of a decision, whether they admit it yet or not. Their energy is preparing. Their heart is rehearsing courage. Their soul is aligning timing. And you, beloved soul, may already feel this shift. A warmth, a pull, a sudden thought of them, with no logical trigger. That is not coincidence. That is resonance. Stay present with this message. Let it move through you slowly. When messages like this find you, it's because alignment is active. If you feel guided to stay connected to this energy, to receive clarity as it unfolds, allow yourself that. Some souls choose to follow what resonates, to remain close to transmissions that mirror their inner knowing. That choice is always intuitive, never forced. Archangel Michael remains near, and what has begun is gaining momentum. Beloved soul, stay anchored here, because what unfolds now explains why the pressure inside them is increasing instead of fading. There comes a point in every divine connection where avoidance stops working. Your soulmate has crossed that point. After speaking about you, after feeling the weight of their own words, their inner world grew louder. Silence no longer soothed them. Distraction no longer helped. The space they once used to escape their emotions now echoes with your presence. Archangel Michael says, when truth matures, it demands movement. Your soulmate has entered a phase where thinking about you is no longer optional. It happens in the middle of conversations, in the middle of work, in the middle of laughter. Your energy interrupts their life not to disturb it, but to realign it. They have begun noticing how often your name appears without intention, how memories surface without warning, how their body reacts before their mind can intervene. A tightening in the chest, a warmth in the stomach, a quiet ache they don't know how to explain. Beloved soul, this is not longing alone. This is recognition deepening. People around them feel it too. Someone recently asked why they go quiet when you're mentioned, why their eyes shift, why their voice softens, why they defend you without realizing it. And in those moments, your soulmate feels exposed. not because others see too much, but because they see accurately. They are no longer asking, "Do I feel something?" They are asking, "What do I do with it?" That question changes everything. They have started observing signs they once ignored, repeating numbers, sudden emotional waves, dreams where you appear not as fantasy, but as presence, dreams that feel calm, intimate, familiar, waking up with your energy still wrapped around them. Archangel Michael says, when souls communicate, the conscious mind catches up last. They feel you when you think of them. They sense distance when you pull back. They feel a tug when you miss them silently. This is energetic dialogue, not imagination. Beloved soul, here is a truth you must hear without minimizing it. They are preparing internally, not rushing, not acting impulsively, preparing. Their soul is rehearsing honesty. Their heart is testing courage. Their fear is losing authority. They are replaying the past with new eyes, not to suffer, but to understand. Moments they dismissed now feel significant. Words they didn't say now feel heavy. Opportunities they delayed now feel urgent. And with that comes realization. They didn't just talk about you. They revealed you. They showed others, without meaning to, that you are the standard their heart uses, that no one else quite reaches the depth you accessed effortlessly, that your presence shifted them in ways they cannot undo. Beloved soul, they are beginning to accept that this connection is not something they fell into. It is something they were led into. This is where fear intensifies, not because something is wrong, but because something is real. They are imagining what it would mean to step forward, to speak, to admit, to risk vulnerability. And the fear they feel is not about rejection. It is about exposure. Because once they speak, they cannot pretend anymore. Archangel Michael says, courage is not loud. It gathers quietly. You may notice subtle changes, a shift in communication, a softening, a pause before words, a glance that lingers. These are not accidents. These are signals of internal movement. Beloved soul, if your heart feels pulled to stay aware, to stay connected to messages like this, honor that instinct. Some people choose to remain close to spaces that reflect their inner truth, not out of dependency, but out of alignment. That choice is always yours. There is a moment approaching, a conversation, a message, a realization that will feel inevitable rather than dramatic. That is how destiny works when resistance fades. And here is the curiosity your soul should hold gently now. What happens when someone who has been running finally stops? Archangel Michael remains with you, and the distance between knowing and acting is narrowing. Beloved soul, remain steady. What unfolds now is the quiet turning point, the moment where resistance weakens and truth begins to choose courage. Your soulmate is no longer questioning whether they feel this connection. That chapter has closed. The questions now sound different. They ask themselves when the world is quiet, when no one is watching, when honesty feels unavoidable. What am I protecting? What am I afraid to lose? And what will it cost me if I stay silent? Archangel Michael says, when fear shifts from avoidance to consequence, the soul prepares to act. They have reached the place where silence feels heavier than speaking, where pretending costs more energy than honesty, where keeping distance hurts more than risking closeness. This is not impulse. This is clarity ripening. They replay moments with you, not to romanticize, but to understand. The way you listened without judgment. The way your presence steadied them. The way you noticed what others missed. They see now why being seen by you felt both comforting and exposing. Beloved soul, exposure is not danger. Exposure is truth without armor. And your soulmate is realizing that the armor they wore protected them from pain, but also from connection. They notice how their body reacts when they imagine reaching out. A nervous flutter, a tight breath, a warmth that feels like relief. This mixture confuses them, but it also tells them something undeniable. Their heart is already moving. People around them continue to sense the shift. Someone close asked them recently why they seem distracted, why their attention drifts, why their mood changes with no obvious cause. Your soulmate offered vague answers, but inside, the truth was clear. They are no longer hiding from the feeling. They are sitting with it, letting it breathe, letting it speak. And what it says is simple and relentless. This matters. Archangel Michael says, what matters returns until it is honored. They have begun imagining the moment of honesty, not as a dramatic confession, but as a grounding truth, a message that says what was left unsaid, an apology without defense, a clarity without manipulation. They are learning that honesty does not need spectacle. It needs sincerity. Beloved soul, your energy is meeting them halfway. You may feel moments of unexpected calm when thinking of them, or sudden emotion without story attached, or a sense that something is aligning quietly behind the scenes. This is not coincidence. This is preparation. The universe does not force meetings. It prepares hearts. They are understanding now that you were never just someone. You became the mirror that showed them who they are when they stop performing. And mirrors are uncomfortable only until we accept the reflection. They compare everyone to you, not because you are perfect, but because you are real. Your presence set a standard their soul recognizes, and once recognized, it cannot be unlearned. Archangel Michael says, recognition creates responsibility. Responsibility to speak. Responsibility to choose. Responsibility to stop running from what is already chosen inside. They are aware now that something big is approaching. Not chaotic, not rushed. A moment that feels inevitable. A conversation that feels overdue. A step that feels aligned. This is how destiny moves when resistance softens. Beloved soul, stay open, stay grounded. Do not chase. Do not withdraw. Presence is enough. Alignment does the rest. If this message feels like it speaks directly to you, it's because resonance recognizes itself. Some souls choose to remain close to guidance that mirrors their inner knowing, listening, reflecting, allowing clarity to unfold over time. That choice is intuitive, never demanded. Hold this curiosity gently now. What changes when honesty feels safer than silence? Archangel Michael remains near, steady, protective, precise. And the space between intention and action is almost closed. Beloved soul, stay with this moment. What unfolds now is not anticipation. It is alignment completing its arc. Your soulmate has arrived at the threshold where inner truth no longer negotiates. The back and forth has quieted. The justifications have thinned. What remains is a steady knowing that does not shout, does not panic, does not retreat. Archangel Michael says, when clarity settles, fear loses its leverage. They are no longer asking whether to speak. They are feeling when. And timing, beloved soul, is the language of destiny. Inside them, a quiet resolve is forming. Not urgency, not desperation, readiness. The kind that feels grounded rather than reactive. They understand now that silence protected them once, but it is costing them now. They understand that avoidance kept them safe, but it also kept them incomplete. Your name has become a compass point, your energy, a reference, your presence, the measure. They are recognizing how often life has pointed them back to you, how every attempt to replace the connection fell flat, how every distraction dissolved, how every logical explanation failed to quiet the pull. Archangel Michael says, what is written does not ask permission to return. They have accepted something profound. This connection is not about possession. It is about truth, and truth requires courage, not control. They are imagining the moment of contact, not as a performance, not as a demand, but as honesty delivered cleanly. No excuses, no pressure, no manipulation, just clarity, just ownership, just truth spoken without armor. Beloved soul, you may feel this shift before you see it, a calm replacing restlessness, a warmth where uncertainty once lived, a sense of inevitability that feels peaceful rather than anxious. This is alignment recognizing itself. The universe has been preparing both of you, not by forcing circumstances, but by refining capacity. You have grown steadier. They have grown braver. That is how reunions become sustainable instead of explosive. Archangel Michael says, what returns in alignment stays. They understand now that you were never asking for perfection. You were asking for presence. You were never demanding certainty. You were asking for sincerity. And this realization changes how they approach you. They are done hiding behind timing, done minimizing behind confusion, done pretending this was anything less than significant. Beloved soul, this is the moment many never reach, the moment where truth stops circling and chooses direction. They know now that if they do not speak, they will carry regret, and regret is heavier than vulnerability. This understanding is what tips the scale. Do not rush. Do not overthink. Do not test. Presence is enough. If your intuition draws you to remain connected to guidance like this, messages that mirror what your soul already knows, honor that pull gently. Some choose to stay close to clarity, to insight, to reminders that alignment unfolds naturally. That choice is always yours, never required. And if you feel moved to support, to acknowledge resonance, to stay engaged in spaces that reflect your inner truth, that engagement becomes part of the energetic exchange. Subtle, mutual, aligned. Now hold this final curiosity softly, without gripping it. What happens when two souls stop running at the same time? Archangel Michael remains with you, steady, protective, exact. And what is meant to meet you is already on its way.